Thank you, Alexis, for presenting before me and talking about Canada and United States differences, as well as other countries. My name is Jonathan Rivas, and my portion of this presentation will be talking about Netflix and other streaming services. So, Netflix was somewhat of a lone wolf in Canada for quite a few years. It was the first streaming service introduced in the country in the year of 2010. And surprisingly enough, it wasn't until 2016 that Amazon Prime was introduced into the country. That means that there actually was a 6-year gap where Netflix Canada had pretty much 100% of the market share. So there have been a lot of allegations and people talking about Netflix is a monopoly, but that is an inaccurate interpretation. It wasn't really Netflix's fault for being the only streaming service in the country. It was just other streaming services being too afraid to take a step into the international platform. So that's why it took so many years for other streaming services to come into the country. So, like the United States, Canada has something called the Competition Act. It is to battle companies and monopolies from forming. In the Competition Act, its main focus is to have anti-competitive actions. Canada also acknowledges that they have many international affairs with countries and acknowledge that foreign competition is a huge part of their economy. So moving on to slide 10, let's talk about Netflix and the newcomers. So like I said, Netflix had a huge advantage for being the only streaming service in the country for so many years. And because of that, they established a foothold in the paid streaming service for the citizens of Canada. Looking at the chart on slide 10, you can see that Netflix owns about 55% of the total people paying for streaming services. They actually have Netflix. In second place, far behind actually, is Amazon Prime, that only about 26% of people that are paying for streaming services actually pays for Amazon Prime. And even farther behind that is the newcomer Disney Plus at 18%. It's a quite drastic difference when you look at the statistics. But going back to that, it's because of that foothold Netflix formed. And because of that, Netflix is always considered the first streaming service people get. And when people do get Amazon Prime or Disney Plus, it's as a secondary streaming service, never to take over as Netflix as their primary streaming service. So it's definitely a huge challenge for streaming services trying to enter the country now. So going on to slide 11, let's talk more about contracts. So many American countries, their TV shows don't actually show in Canada. And because of that, they want a lot of international people to watch their shows. So they made contracts with Netflix for a certain number of years to be able to stream their content internationally. That could last for quite a few years. And there are also a lot of international laws and regulations saying, hey, once you own this content, no other streaming service could show that content. And that's been a huge issue with other streaming services trying to get into international business. So, because they might not be able to show the content that they even created. A great example of that is Disney. When you think of Disney, you have to think about Star Wars and Marvel as well. If you go on Disney Plus right now, you may even see that certain movies might be missing. And the reason for that is because they already had contracts with Netflix for Netflix to be able to show their shows. And because of that, even if they're trying to get into the international platform, they're still not even able to show their own content because Netflix has that contract that they signed. And because of that, allows Netflix to keep that market share hold that they have. We'll see in the future how the contracts are handled and if that causes Netflix to decrease in any of those market shares. But looking in the near future, I don't see any change happening. And so going forward, it's Amanda Abakoff going on after me. She'll be talking about future regulations as well as certain political considerations. So thank you and have a great day.